everyone, it's Pryia again. Like I promised last week, I would be here for one more week guaranteed. So here I am. All right, so we've got Math Wednesday with the Learning Liaison. And as you know, today it is Pryia, your star host. All right, so let's get started. You guys know how much I love math, so I'm always excited and can't wait to get these problems ready for you guys. So here we go. Okay. Technology is not on my side tonight. Let's try this again. Here we go. Question 1. So all they're asking us to do is solve the inequality. And we have an inequality there. So what do we do when we see an inequality? We treat the inequality as if it's an equal sign. So it's not going to trip us up. But here we have two inequalities. So we know we have to do something a little bit different, right? So we're not going to put everything to one side like we normally do. This time we have to change it up a little bit. So I like to say, treat the middle like their parents and treat the ends as if they're the kids. Why do I say that? Because whatever you do to one kid, you have to do to the other. So if you gave your kid 20 bucks, there's no way the other one's going to let you live that down. So whatever you do to one, you must do to both. All right. So that's going to help us out because once we start doing this problem, you will notice how it actually makes a difference in how you solve. So let's go ahead. I'm going to rewrite the problem so I can start manipulating it, right? So negative 24 is less than negative 2x plus 4 less than 12. Okay, so what did I say? Whatever you do from the middle, it goes to both sides. So I'm looking at the middle and I'm saying, I want that positive 4 out because I need to solve for x by itself. How do I know that? I've looked at all of my answer choices and all of my answer choices tell me that x is alone. So I need to solve for x by itself. Let's go ahead and move that 4. But remember, what you do to one kid, you must do to all. 4 in the middle goes away. Negative 4 minus 4 will give us a lovely negative 28. Bring everything else down. And 12 minus 4 gives us 8. Okay, we're almost there. Now we need that negative 2 away. So how do we get rid of a number when it's being multiplied to another number? You do the opposite operation. So we're going to divide everything by negative 2. All right, so negative 2 goes into negative 28, a positive 14. Then I bring my x down, and then I have negative 4 on the other side. Well, some of you might be screaming at me and saying, well, you forgot to do something. And you're right, I did forget to do something, and I forgot it on purpose. So let's talk about that rule that sometimes people forget. When you multiply or divide by a negative number, what do you have to do? Flip the sign. Here, it's the inequality. So what I should have done is flip my inequalities because I divided by negative 2 everywhere. And you can see that originally it made a false statement because remember the alligator eats the larger number. So in the original before I flipped, it said that negative 4 was larger than 14, which we know for a fact is not true. So now that I'm finished completely with my problem, I'm going to go to my answer choices and look for something that says that the 14 is being eaten and the x is being eaten. Well, it's not A because A is without it being flipped. And then if you noticed, B and D both only have one inequality. Well, what happened to the other one? I don't know. So those are definitely not in the running. So the only guy left is this guy right here, C. Which, here we go, famous phrase, winner, winner, chicken dinner is our answer. Right? So you want to make sure that you're not just solving, but you're making sure that you remember all of those little rules that go with everything. All right, I'm going to count to 3 and move on. Remember, there's no such thing as interrupting me. I am always more than happy to answer questions. Okay, things are going to get a little funky because I don't know how to change this. Something's wrong. So question 2, the length of a sandbox is 5 feet longer than it is wide. Okay, give me 1 second. Yep, I had a feeling that was going to happen. Okay, let me reshare my screen. I don't know what just happened. I greatly apologize. I'm still here. I promise I will finish the workshop. All right, I'm pulling it right back up. I just have to put the number in that it's asking me for. Okay, hold on. I'm going to put my screen back up so everybody can see it. Okay, this is a little weird now because now I can't share the screen at all. So let's do one last thing to fix that.
Hey, how we doing?
I am at a little loss of what's going on right now with my screens. I got kicked out again.
Are you on Chrome?
No.
What browser are you using?
Safari.
That's probably why.
Okay. I will stop sharing everything. And what I will do is pull it up using my
But you've
iPad.
always used this last time?
Yeah, I've never used anything else. It's the only thing I
Oh.
ever use. So I'm a little at a loss. If you guys can't tell, I'm sweating because I don't know what's going on.
Is it the app? You might want to shut the reflector app and turn it back on. Or your screen share. Are you screen share it?
Yep. So let's do. Can you see any type of presentation?
No, you gotta hit the share button on the StreamYard. There you go.
Okay, I
There you go.
apologize for the messy background. Maybe I should have taken my fiance's advice and cleaned it up a little
Listen,
bit.
these these guys don't want me to do math because 2 + 2 = 5. So there you go. Enjoy.
All right, thanks guys for being patient. Unfortunately, now I can't see your chat, but I'm going to keep going and I hope that I do what I normally do and we have no questions. So, question 2. The length of a sandbox is 5 feet longer than it is wide. Well, they're telling me stuff about a measurement that I don't really understand. So I'm going to start by drawing. Drawing always helps me figure something out. So here is my drawing. Remember, you don't have to be Picasso. It just has to be a thing, right? And they're telling me that the length is 5 feet longer than it is wide. Then they're telling me about the perimeter and they're asking me to solve for the area. Okay, so let's see. If I drew a rectangle, because they didn't tell me what shape it was, I'm going to have my length and my width. Okay, no problem. Well, from there, what we're going to do is start putting what we know. I know that the length is 5 feet longer than the width. So I'm going to add 5 to whatever the width is and say that that's my length. They didn't tell me anything about the width itself, so I'm going to keep it as W. They did tell me, though, that the perimeter is equal to 75 feet. Well, I know that to solve for the perimeter of anything, it's the sum of all sides. All right, sum of all sides means I'm going to add everything together to get 75. So let's start there. I have my perimeter, which is equal to the sum of all sides. I'm going to add my sides. But wait, I only have 2 sides. So what that means is I have to fill in the other pieces of information. Remember, the opposite sides of rectangles will give us what we need. So I'm going to start here with this W, and I'm going to work my way around and back to the W. So W plus 5 plus W plus W plus 5. Okay, I've got all of my sides. I'm going to combine like terms, W, 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 W. That's going to give me 4W and my 5s. 5 plus 5 gives me 10. And remember, it's all equal to 75. Okay, not too bad. I'm going to get W by itself, so I'm going to subtract 10 from both sides. Going to get 65 is equal to 4W. I'm going to move up a little bit. So 65 is equal to 4W. Last step is divide everything by 4 because we get W by itself, and we get this really funky number of 16.25. Okay, well that doesn't scare me, but remember that's not my answer even though it is an answer choice. What did they ask me for? They asked me for the area. I haven't even solved for area yet. I know that the area of a rectangle is equal to the length times the width. Well, now that I know what my length and width is, I can plug in my width and actually solve for the length side. What do I mean by that? I'm going to take 16.25 and add that to 5, and I'm going to have 16.25 over here. Because remember, everywhere I see a W, I'm replacing it with 16.25. I'm going to get that my length is equal to 21.25. And I have my width. I'm going to multiply to get the answer that I'm looking for. So I'm going to do 21.25 times 16.25. And when you multiply, what is the magic number that you get? 345.31. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Answer is D. Right? Unfortunately, I can't see your chat right now, but I'm going to keep going. Question number 3. All right, to celebrate Valentine's Day, which was just a couple days ago, 4 friends went out to dinner at a local restaurant. Okay, no problem. So we have 4 friends. What did they do? The waiter brought the bill, and the bill included what? The sales tax, which is 6.5%, and the total. So the friends decided that they were going to leave a 15% tip. Well, while walking out to the car, they realized they could have saved some money by tipping before tax. How much could the ladies have saved? Okay, so we have to figure out what's going on. There's a lot of information, but I don't really know how to use it yet. So what I'm going to do is try to figure out what my total bill is made of. Maybe that might help me figure out how much my food cost was. So I know that my total bill is equal to my food/drinks plus my tax. But tax is not just 6.5%, it's actually 6.5% of the food. So what's a better way to represent that? It's the food times 6.5%. Okay, that looks a little bit better. So what do I do with that now? You guys are looking at me like, I don't know what you're doing. Well, I'm going to take my total bill and try to plug in what I know. Well, what do I know? I know that my total bill is $76.55. I don't know my food. I still don't know my food, but I do know that my sales tax in decimal is 0.065. Okay, well, if I multiply 0.065 by x, I actually get 0.065x. Okay, that looks a little doable. I can actually add my 2 x's together, and what will I get? I will get 76.55 is equal to 1.065x. Okay, I'm getting a lot closer to something. If I solve for x, I'm actually going to solve for how much food costs. So I'm going to divide both sides by 1.065, and I get that my food cost x is equal to 71.88. Okay, but that's not an answer. That's not anything about tip. That's just how much the food costs. So remember, this is the food/drinks. I can double check that if I plugged it back into my equation that we made all the way at the top, and I should get 76.55 after I've done the taxes. Well, what is the question asking? They tipped on the total when they could have tipped before the tax, which is just the food, and save some money. So what we need to do is take 15% of 2 numbers, because we have to compare them, and we have to subtract. So what 2 numbers do I need to do that of? I need to do it of the total, because that's what they tipped on. So my first tip amount is 76.55, and I'm multiplying that by 15%, which happens to be 0.15 in decimal form. I can't multiply by actual 15%, I have to change it. So when I multiply, what do I get? I get that they left a tip of $10.78. Just kidding, that's a lie. They left a tip of $11.48. Okay, this is how much they tipped. But remember, they realized that if they had tipped before tax, they could have saved some money. Well, this is the number they would tip on before tax, because that's just the food. So if I do 15% of that number, what do I get? That's the 10.78 that I said earlier. Okay, now I've got the tip before tax and the tip that they made. So they want to know how much they could have saved. Saved means we need to subtract to see what the difference is. So 11.48 minus $10.78, and I'll get a big whopping 70 cents that they should have saved if they had tipped before tax instead of after tax. Doesn't seem too bad, right? You just have to figure out what the bill is telling you and what information you don't have. Once you can figure that out, you can always figure out anything that they're asking. Number 4. Oh yeah, this is an algebra problem, guys. I've been doing really bad at telling you guys that, but it's always been at the top of the page. So here we go. We have Cupid lands a job on a dating site. Yes, Valentine's Day was the other day. So his salary for the first year is $43,125. Well, he will receive a 7% increase every year, and they want to know how much will his salary be at the start of year 6. Whoa, how do you do that? Well, we could sit here and physically take 7% after every year and add that and get 7% of that new number and keep going, or we can use a formula. Does anybody know the formula that we will use? It is called geometric sequence. So for geometric sequence, I will have an is equal to a1 r to the n minus 1 power. Okay, well, what do all those things mean? An is the term that you're looking for. A1 is the first term. R is your common ratio. And N, just like the beginning, is the term number. Okay, that doesn't seem so bad. So we have to figure out what we have and what we need to plug in. Well, I know that he started with $43,125. That is the first year, so that is our A1. I have to figure out the common ratio. What else do I know? I know that we want to know year 6. So 6 is going to be our N. Our ratio is actually 7%, but it's not just 7%. So just like the other problem, there's a little bit more than just what we see. It's whatever the year was before and 7%. So the ratio is 1.07. So all I did was take 7% and change that into a decimal. I'll get 0.07, and I added 100% to that because the 100% lets me know that it's from the previous year's salary plus the 7%. Okay? Hope we all got it. Now let's plug it in and chug out a number. So I'll have AN is equal to $43,125 times 1.07 all to 6 minus 1. So that would be to the 5th power. So AN is equal to 43125 times 1.07 to the 5th power. AN is equal to a lovely number of 60485.04. $60,485.04. Ready? Winner, winner, chicken dinner. A. If you didn't know to use the geometric sequence, a longer process would have been to take 7% of every year's salary and add it back to the salary from the year before and keep moving forward. So I would have taken 7% of 43,125. I would have gotten a number. I would have taken that number and added it to my salary and gotten a new number, and I would have started the process again based on my new number. And you would have done that 6 times. All right, here we go. Number 5. It's a statistics/probability problem. So the problem reads, given there is an 85% probability that any given adult knows about Snapchat, using binomial distribution. Ooh, I like problems like this because they tell you what to use. Find the probability of getting exactly 3 adults who know of Snapchat when 5 adults are randomly selected. So the 3 and 5 are important as well. Before we begin, we need to know what binomial distribution is. Well, what is binomial distribution? I'm going to label it as BD, and I'm going to put the formula as I know it. So people interchange X and K for binomial distribution, and it's okay. It doesn't matter which one you use. Just be consistent. So I'm going to do P of X is equal to P to the X and Q n minus X. Okay, so this might just look foreign to a lot of you. That's okay. That we will talk about, and that we will talk about. So Q is also 1 minus P. So if you can remember P, you can remember 1 minus P, just in case. And that NX, that looks really familiar. That's from like that choose stuff. Does that even sound remotely close to anything that anyone's thinking? If I rewrote this, I should have n factorial all over x factorial, n minus x factorial, p to the x, and q. But I said I was going to use 1 minus p to the n minus x. Okay, that doesn't look too bad, but I need to know what I need to plug in order to make it not so bad. Well, I have 3 adults out of 5 adults. So, which number is which? My total adults is 5, and I'm choosing 3 of them. 3 are my number of successes out of 5 random adults. So I have my n and my x. I also have my probability. My probability is 85%. But remember, we can't use percentages. We have to turn them into decimals. So we move the decimal 2 places to the left, or we divide by 100, or we say 85%. Cent sounds like cents, which is money, and we turn it into a decimal. Lots of different ways of doing that. Now it's as easy as plugging it in and getting out an answer. So I'm going to have P of 3 is equal to 5 factorial all over 3 factorial, 5 minus 2 factorial times 0.85 to the 3rd power and 1 minus 0.85 to the 5 minus, that's supposed to be a 3. Okay, so originally I said 3 factorial, 5 minus 3 factorial. And then to the exponent, it will be 5 minus 3. I apologize. I did 5 minus 3 in my head, and I got 2. So let's now reduce and do some simple math. So P of 3 is equal to 5 factorial all over 3 factorial. 5 minus 3 is 2 factorial. 0.85 to the 3rd power. And then 1 minus 0.85 will take us to the 2nd power, which is 0.15 to the 2nd power. Okay, well, you can do the factorials a couple different ways, but I'm going to show you a quick little way that helps you get through them quickly without actually having to do 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 all over 3 times 2 times 2. I take out the ones because the ones don't change anything. So if you have 5 times 4 times 3 factorial all over 3 factorial times 2 factorial, your 3 factorials actually go away. So that makes it a little bit easier. So now you just have 5 times 4 all over 2. Multiply that out by your 0.85 to the third power and your 0.15 to the second power, and you get a number of what? Oh, 0.13813. Okay, but that's in decimal form. That's okay. Don't worry about it. We're going to change it into a percentage by moving the decimal over to the right. So we'll get 13.8%. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. It's A for apple. Number 6. It's an algebra problem. So here we have Lily and Sue, and they're completing their homework, but seem to have different answers for the following question. So the question is, find the line parallel to that. And they want us to help Lily and Sue by solving the problem. So they're actually asking us to just solve the problem. Well, what is a parallel line? I know that parallel means that two things that don't intersect, but what do they mean by a parallel line to another equation? Well, before we get started, you need to know what slope-intercept form is. Slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b, where m is your slope and b is your y-intercept. Well, what's a y-intercept? It's like in football when they intercept the ball, so it's when the line crosses through the y-axis. Okay, doesn't seem so bad. Well, if we need to know that, we need to be able to convert the equation that we have into slope-intercept form. So we're going to have to do some shifting. Let's go ahead and write the problem correctly and then move some stuff. So 3x plus 4y is equal to 8. I'm going to subtract 3x on both sides because, as you can see, I need y by itself. I'll get 4y is equal to, and now I'm going to just put things in order based on how the original slope-intercept form looks. Doesn't matter if you put the negative 3x after the 8 or before the 8. What matters is that you keep the signs the way that they're supposed to be. Now I'm going to divide both sides by 4, but remember, it's everything getting divided by 4. Y is going to equal negative 3 over 4x plus 2. Okay, well, the number next to the x is my slope. So my slope right now that I have is negative 3 over 4. What does that mean for parallel? Parallel slopes are exactly the same. So I'm going to look for something that says negative 3 over 4. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. It's B. Okay, but just in case you see the problem again, let's talk about perpendicular slopes. Perpendicular slopes will have opposite signs and be reciprocals of each other. So if we start with negative 3 over 4, we will go from a negative to a positive. and we will flip the fraction. That's what it means by reciprocal, 4/3. So A is actually the perpendicular slope. And if they ask about intersecting, intersecting is anything that isn't perpendicular or parallel. So C and D are intersecting, right? So that's your default, because if it's not perpendicular and it's not parallel, then it has to be intersecting. All right, number 7. Number 7 is a geometry problem. So let's read. It says, what is the measurement of each exterior angle for a regular pentagon? Okay, well, I need to know about exterior angles, and I need to know what a regular pentagon is. So before we jump into the problem, let's just do some memory, right? So I know that a triangle has 3 sides. What has 4 sides? Quadrilateral. What has 5 sides? Pentagon. I'm going to go to 8 just in case. A hexagon. I know we only need 5. Is 6-sided. Then the 7-sided shape actually has 2 names. So it either goes by a heptagon or a septagon. And the last one is an octagon, 8 sides. Okay, not too bad. We have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So which one did we need? All we needed was the pentagon. Well, now we know how many sides we have. It's 5-sided. But what do we know about exterior angles? Well, I know that the sum of exterior angles for a regular shape is 360 degrees. So if I have 5 sides, I'll have 5 exterior angles, which means I'll take 360 divided by the number of sides I have, and that will tell me how much each angle actually is. So 360 divided by 5 gives me 72. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. All right, not too bad. That one's definition based. Number 8. This is an algebra problem, generally high school or college. And I know some of you are already freaking out because you're just looking at the answer choices and going, well, this is not for me. That's okay. Don't freak out, read the problem, and then take it step by step and see where it takes us. So it's asking us, which of the following does not have complex roots? Keyword here is the not part, and they're asking about what? Complex roots. Well, I don't really know what to do about this. I do know that I know some stuff about roots, right? And I know that if I take the discriminant, I will be able to find the amount of roots that I end up having, like 2 real roots, 1 real root, or no real roots, which so happens to be our complex roots. So where does the discriminant come from? The discriminant comes from the quadratic formula, x equals -b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times A times C, all divided by 2A. Okay, so where is the discriminant? The lovely discriminant is right here. So I'm going to use that. And based on that, I will get some information. I will get that my discriminant is either going to be greater than 1, equal to 0, or less than 1. What does that tell me? If it's greater than 1, I'll get an answer of 2 real roots. If it's equal to 1, I'll get an answer of 1 real root. And if it's less than 1, I'll actually get no real roots, which means they are complex roots. So I'll get 2 complex roots. So that's some background information that I needed in order to answer the question. Well, on top of the background information, these answer choices aren't really where we need it to be other than C, right? So let's start with the easiest one, which is C, and let's try to solve for this discriminant right here that they gave us. So I'm going to have 2 squared minus 4 times 1 times 6. Okay, what does that give me? That gives me 2 times 2 is 4 minus 24, and that's going to equal negative 20, which happens to be less than 1, so they are complex roots. So complex is not what we're looking for. It's not C. We're going to have to try A, B, or D. Well, if I do A tells me that I have negative 2 times x minus 3 squared minus 5. Okay, well, I'm going to start with my x minus 3 squared, and that's going to give me x minus 3 times x minus 3. When I do that, I'll get x squared minus 6x plus 9 and bring everything else down. I have to distribute my negative 2 inside to my parentheses. So I'll get negative 2x squared plus 12x minus 18, bring down my minus 5. Then I'll get negative 2x squared plus 12x. When I combine my negative 18 and my negative 5, I'll get negative 23. I now need to take that and plug it into my discriminant, which is up there. But before I do that, I have to understand where my A, B's, and C's are coming from. Well, standard form tells us that ax squared plus bx plus c. So the number in front of my x squared is my a, the number in front of my x is my b, and the number by itself, the constant, is my c. Now I know what to use, so now I'm going to plug them in. I will have 12 squared minus 4 times negative 2 times negative 23. When I multiply, I'll get 144 minus 184. I'm going to get negative 40 as my answer, which is complex, which is still not what we're looking for. Well, let's try B. I can actually cheat a little and use what we found for x minus 3 times x minus 3 over in A for my B. I'm definitely going to cheat a little. So for my B, I will have x squared minus 6x plus 9 plus 1. Okay, well that makes it a little bit easier for me. So I'll have x squared minus 6x plus 10. Now all I need to do is plug in what I know into the discriminant. So I will have negative 6 squared minus 4 times 1 times 10, which is actually going to give me 36 minus 40, which is equal to negative 4, which so happens to also be complex. So the only answer I have left is C. Is D. I can actually show you that it works by plugging it in over here. So let's do D. I have negative 8 all times x plus 9 plus 3. Multiply your negative 8 in, negative 8x, brain fart, minus 72 plus 3. Combine like terms, negative 8x minus 69. Well, I only have a B and a C, so I'm going to plug in what I have. I'm going to have negative 8 times minus 4 times nothing times negative 69. I'll get negative 8 plus 276. When I solve, I'll get my answer as a positive number, which is what we were looking for, which tells me that I have real roots. And it just so happens that I have 2 of them. Okay, so that's a lot of work, but we do all the steps together so you can see all the workout while we're working together. Number 9. It is also a geometry problem, middle or high school. So let's read the problem. We're given this equation. Y is equal to 2 quantity 2 multiplied by x minus 3 all squared minus 6, and they want us to explain the transformation based on this function. Well, what do I know about the functions that they gave me? I know that y equals x squared is the parent function for a parabola. And based on what you do to that, we'll move it, change it, manipulate it. So, what do I need to know? I need to know that basic forms, which is the given function, can be broken down. If I broke it down back to the original, I'll have a times x minus h all squared plus k. Why did I do that? It will help me understand what the numbers mean based on what I was given. So I know that A tells me if it's stretched or compressed. It also tells me if it's negative for a sad face or positive for a happy face. My H is telling me my horizontal shift, and my K is telling me my vertical shift. Okay, well, now that I know what all my numbers are telling me, I can look at my answer choices and figure out what's going on. Well, for H, it's not as simple as you thought it was going to be. It's not going to be 3 to the left. It's actually, because if you look at the original formula, we have a negative. So if I plug in a positive number, I will get a negative output. If I plug in a negative number, I will get a positive output. So it actually does the opposite of what you see for H. So for my 3, I'll actually be going to the right 3 spaces, and my H stays how we see it, so I will be going down 6 spaces. Okay, let's figure that out. So A tells me that I'll be moving 3 to the left. That's not what we want to do. B tells me I'll be moving 3 to the right, okay? And 6 down. That sounds like a winner. But just to be safe, I'm going to keep reading. C tells me 3 up. No, 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 no. 3 doesn't tell me to go up or down. 3 tells me left or right. And D tells me we're shifting 3 down, okay? That's wrong, 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 wrong. So winner, winner, chicken dinner is going to be B. We are going to the right 3 units, and we're going down 6. Just had to know a little background information on that one. All right, our last problem, we made it with all the trouble we had tonight. Probability statistics. Question 10. So what is the probability of flipping a coin 3 times and landing on heads each time? I don't know. Do you know? Well, I know that I need to have 3 fractions because I'm flipping this coin 3 times. I know that for probability, I will have my outcome on the top and my total possibilities on the bottom. If we had colors, I would have my color on the top and my possibilities on the bottom. I know that on a coin, I can either get heads or tails. Well, I only have a possibility of getting one or the other. So I have one outcome every time. And it also told me that it needed to land on heads. Okay, no problem. But what are my totals? I can only have heads or tails, which means I only have 2 possible outcomes. So is it 2, 4, 6? No, no, no. Make sure you're multiplying. 2 times 2 is 4 times 2 to give us 8. 1 over 8. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Okay, so if they happen to have flipped the coin only 2 times, then what would we do? We would only have 2 fractions. With a coin, it doesn't matter because you can only have one possible outcome out of 2 total outcomes. So we'll have 1/4 if the coin was flipped twice. Doesn't seem too bad, right? I'm going to check. Okay, I don't see any messages. So what do I always say? I always say thank you for showing up, and I always say thank you for being here. I'm here because I love math, and you're here because sometimes you need a little extra help. Well, aside from the videos that we do for our webinar, if you need additional help, there is one-to-one extra help, which is our online tutoring that is always available, right? When you go to the website, which is www.thelearningliaisons.com. You will then look for our online tutoring, which are one-to-one option. You will see myself and Amy and many other tutors that are there for more than just math help. And don't forget, there is always the discount code SYNC35, right? Amy has given you guys that SYNC35. Don't forget it. Use it. It's money in your pocket, right? And I don't know if I'll be here next week, but if I am, you get another week of me. And if not, welcome Amy back with open arms. All right, guys, I wish you all the best, and hopefully I'll see you soon.